Welcome back, and I'm going to read you a series of short stories by a man called Runyon called On Broadway, and this was the basis for the hit musical Guys and Dolls. He was a journalist in the 1930s and met some interesting characters which he put into these pretend or short stories. Hope you enjoy them. First of all, Breach of Promise. One day, a certain party by the name of Judge Goldfarb, who is a lawyer by trade, sends word to me that he wishes me to call on him at his office in Lower Broadway. And while ordinarily I do not care for any part of lawyers, it happens that Judge Goldfather is a friend of mine. So I'll go to see him. Of course, Judge Goldfarb is not a judge and never is a judge. And he is 100 to 1 in my line against ever being a judge. But he is called judge because it pleases him. And everybody always wishes to please Judge Goldfarb, as he is one of the surest-footed lawyers in this town and beats more rough, tough beefs for every different citizen that seems possible. He's a wonderful hand for keeping citizens from getting into the sneezer, and better than Houdini when it comes to getting them out of the sneezer after they are in. Personally, I never have any use for the professional services of Judge Goldfarb, as I am a law-abiding citizen at all times and am greatly opposed to guys who violate the law. But I know the judge from around and about for many years. I know him from around and about the nightclubs and other deadfalls, for Judge Goldfather is such a guy as loves to mingle with the public in these spots, as he picks up much law business there, and sometimes a nice dough. Well, when I call on Judge Goldfather, he takes me into his private office and wishes to know if I can take a number or a couple of deserving guys who are out of employment and who are like a job of work. And if so, Judge Goldfarb says he can offer them a first-class position. Of course, Judge Goldfarb says, it is not already steady employment, and in fact it is nothing but piecework. But the parties must be extremely reliable parties who can be depended on in a pinch. This is out-of-town work that requires tact, and he says, some nerve. Well, I'm about to tell Judge Goldfarb that I'm no employment agent and go on about my business, because I can tell from the way he says the parties must be parties who can be depended on in a pinch, that a pinch is apt to come up on the job any minute. And I do not care to steer any friends in this of mine against a pinch. But as I get up to go, I look out at Judge Goldfarb's window, and I can see Brooklyn in the distance beyond the river. And seeing Brooklyn, I got to thinking of certain parties over there that I figure must be suffering terribly from the unemployment situation. I got to thinking of Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore. And the reason I figured they must be suffering from the unemployment situation is because if nobody is working and making any money, there is nobody for them to rob. And if nobody for them to rob, Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore are just naturally bound to be feeling the depression keenly. Anyway, I finally mentioned the names of these parties to Judge Goldfarb, and furthermore, I speak well of their reliability in a pinch and of their nerve, although I cannot conscientiously recommend their tact, and Judge Goldfarb is greatly delighted, as he often hears of Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore. He asked me for their addresses, but of course nobody knows exactly where Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore live, because they do not live anywhere in particular. However, I tell him about a certain spot in Clinton Street where he may be able to get track of them, and then I leave Judge Goldfarb for fear he may wish me to take word to these parties, and if there is anybody in this whole world I will not care to take word to, or to have any truck with in any manner, shape, or form, it is Harry the Horse in Spanish John and Little Isidore. Well, I do not hear anything more of the matter for several weeks. But one evening when I'm in Mindy's restaurant on Broadway enjoying a little cold borscht, which is a most refreshing matter in hot weather such as is going on at the time, who pops up but Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore? And I am so surprised to see them that some of my cold borscht goes down the wrong way, and I'm almost choked to death. However, they seem quite friendly, and in fact, Harry the Horse pounds me on the back to keep me from choking. And while he pounds me so hard that he almost caves my spine in, I consider it a most courteous action, And when I'm able to talk again, I say to him as follows. Well, Harry, I say, it is a privilege and a pleasure to see you again, and I hope and trust you will join me in some cold borscht, which you will find very nice indeed. No, Harry said, we don't care for any cold borscht. We are looking for Judge Goldfarber. Do you see Judge Goldfarber around and about lately? Well, the idea of Harry the Horse and Spanish John and Little Isidore looking for Judge Goldfarber sounds somewhat alarming to me, and I figures maybe the job Judge Goldfarber gives them turns out bad, and they wish to take Judge Goldfarber apart. But the next minute, Harry, he says to me like this. Oh, by the way, he says, we wish to thank you for the job of work you threw our way. Maybe someday we will be able to do as much for you. It is most interesting job, Harry says. And while you are snuffing your gold borscht, I will give you the details so you will understand why we wish to see Judge Goldfarber. Well, we'll leave it there until tomorrow. I hope you're intrigued enough to join me again and listen to a bit more of this. Until then, stay safe, be good, most of all be kind, won't you? Bye now. God bless.